Yeah, that's how I know Jerrod's ready to become a head coach. He said, yeah, there's some things he can improve on, but he didn't say what they were.
Right, yeah, exactly. We're gonna show our hand, you dummies.
Yeah.
Immediately what I thought of as he was talking about that, when you talk about like trying to bring along a quarterback and where is he and like how much can you add, I thought of the first game, the Baltimore game last year, where Bobby Slowick, I was very curious to see whether Bobby Slowick would make the mistake that so many first-time coordinators do, which is you're so eager and you've been dreaming about like the offense that you're going to build for so long that you try to roll out the finished product before it's ready. And Bobby talked about it. Like, I give Bobby a lot of credit for being open about it after that first week or I think he might not have been really open about it until a couple weeks later, but basically admitted, like, listen, we were just trying to do too much. You got a rookie quarterback out there playing behind 3 and eventually 4 backup offensive linemen, and they're trying to have multiple guys in motion and do all the extra bells and whistles when really you got to, when facing live fire for the first time, you got to keep it as simple as possible for your rookie quarterback. And I give him a lot of credit. I'm looking back on it, I'm glad they did it that way because Bobby Slowick needed to learn that lesson that, all right, and I think part of it, too, was that he was probably so impressed with C.J. Stroud that maybe he assumed C.J. could handle more at that moment than he should have had to handle. But he course-corrected very quickly. And they were put into a position the next week versus the Colts where it wasn't the offense's fault that they got off to that huge deficit early on.
Right.
It was so, and the offense looked good, but you didn't know how much to take from it because they were playing from behind from a huge deficit the entire game. So I think that's, again, you go into this offseason, you got to constantly be reminding yourself, like, all right, we tell the players that it's back to basics. I think for the coordinators and the quarterbacks, too, it's always back to basics. Peyton Manning, when he was a player, Peyton and Eli would go back to their to the coach there at Duke.
David Cutcliffe, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, start back at square one at identifying coverages and all that stuff, like the really, really simple stuff. And I think that's where CJ is. He made so much advancement in the course of a season, and this isn't just my opinion. I mean, this is all when it comes to quarterback stuff, I really try to go in and just like listen to the smart folks and the ex-quarterbacks and the ex-coaches that can see this at a whole different level. And like to a man, you can't find somebody who wasn't blown away by how quickly he advanced mentally and some of the next level stuff that CJ was doing. So when it comes to the stuff that upends rookie quarterbacks, a lot of times it's, it's the disguised coverages, it's the lurkers, it's all this stuff that guys haven't seen yet. CJ's progressed into the level of like a lot of 3rd and 4th year quarterbacks. So now it's all about refining all that stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff he can work on. And I think that, his involvement in pass protection and his involvement in the run game, it's stuff that you can't point to because it all happens from the shoulders up. But that's where they can really take it to the next level. You know what, Sean? I'll go immediately to the Titans game. We're down on the goal line. John Harris and I both thought the same thing immediately after the game. There might have been some moments in that game on the goal line where Case Keenum, just by virtue of being in the league so long, had a better feel for checking into the right runs and checking into the right protections and operating more efficiently at the goal line. So I think if Jerrod Johnson was given the answer he was thinking of, it's probably red zone and goal line stuff, especially. And then also just in general, his involvement in the run game.
Well, one area, and I don't know that this is a CJ thing as much as it is an overall offensive thing, but I saw this tweet from Warren Sharp yesterday. And I know we dug into one of the stats he gave out yesterday as being a little too esoteric, the net rest of the schedule that you get. But this one is a pretty basic one. Warren Sharp.
Out there. We were going Terrence Howard on that.
We were, man.
Yeah, we got to pull it back a little bit.
Warren Sharp football. Touchdowns scored on opening drives last year. And I thought this was interesting just because the offense that the Texans seem to strive to be was by far number one. By far. San Francisco last year, which is just, I mean, to be able to get out in front like that in 10 of your 17 games is remarkable. They were, the next closest was Baltimore with 7. The Texans twice opening drive touchdowns last year, just
which
twice.
Which is a huge improvement over that stretch of games in which they didn't score a single touchdown. So how many games was it?
With the Texans? Back in the O'Brien days?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. It was with Deshaun. It was like over 2 seasons. It was crazy.
Yeah, where they didn't have an opening drive touchdown.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, the biggest indicator there, probably the biggest difference between San Francisco and Houston last year, is, like, let's say in the second half of the season, when even if you had a healthy Tank Dell, the run game. You know, like if you come out, like Bobby Slowick is going to attempt to run the football because it's so integral to setting up the play action. You can set up the play action pass by simply showing that you're devoted to the run. Like, you don't actually have to run the ball effectively to set up the play action, but if you want to be an effective offense, you can't be burning up all of these stuffs and tackles for a loss. Like, and like you're using this run, you're establishing the run, but you're not actually getting first downs with those runs. That's where you sputter out as an offense. So, like, running the ball effectively, and they don't even have to be league leading or anything. Like, that number would get amped up to 5, 6, 7, because you come out and when teams know that you're going to run the ball and they also have trouble stopping the run, but also you're going to hit them with a play action, that's where it's just a nightmare, especially on the first drive, because all that extra little game planning really takes root then.
Yep. And the play scripting on the offensive side, yeah, for sure. Charlie's getting a lot of love on the text page, Seth, my daughter's boyfriend, for should we say spoiler alert here that we're about to talk about Survivor? Somebody got mad that we spoiled it.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Spoiler alert for Survivor talk. But if you don't watch Survivor, this is very relatable.
It'll be
you guys
relatable.
can understand this.
Yeah. Charlie got stabbed in the back at the final tribal council by someone we thought was an ally, voted against him on the jury to win the game, and so his winnings went from potentially $1 million to $100,000. He still won because he was second, but it was $100,000.
It's one of those things, like, they were besties, but they both knew that at some point they would have to betray each other when it got down to the final. I guess I say that, but now that I know the rules better, like, you don't have to betray your bestie.
Not at that point.
If you make it to the final 3. But they were both willing to betray each other. Like, they had both decided to betray each other at the same spot within the game.
Yeah.
And it just worked out for Charlie a lot better. But so to explain the rules real quickly, the people that get ejected in the later stages then also vote on who the final winner is.
The jury for who wins.
So at that point, when Charlie's bestie is on the jury and there's nothing in it for her, she goes off on her own. The guy that she swore she'd be best buds with for life, she doesn't vote for him.
And it was the difference. Yeah. If she had voted for him, it would have been a hung jury at 4-4, and then Ben, the one guy who finished in third, would have chosen the winner, and I think he would have chosen Charlie as the winner. So anyways, Charlie was he was kind of despondent about that. He handled it really well on the show. Here's what this is the only season I've ever watched Survivor, and I'm probably not going to watch it again because I just inherently, this is a show where if you're really, really good, you're in jeopardy. You're a target. Right. You're like, it's not a show that rewards excellence. It rewards hanging in the weeds for 15 weeks,
It does, right. And but that's part of the excellence, I guess, is being like that. It does reward. I think it does reward excellence, and I think in the final 4, everybody, there were two people who were really good at playing the game, Maria and Charlie. And then there were two people.
Kenzie and Charlie. Kenzie won the game.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. All right, so the final 5. So, Kenzie and Charlie. Yeah. Yes, thank you. I feel like Maria made it towards the end, but, ultimately she was too much. But Kenzie and Charlie played the game really well, and they were in it because they had played the game really well. Yeah. They'd kind of laid back and picked and chosen their spots. Yeah. But then there's all these other people that keep getting dragged along just because everybody feels like, okay, well, we'll just get rid of this guy later, or get rid of that guy later, or get rid of that psychotic woman here, or whatever. And like, they get to the point where this woman, Liz, who all of a sudden is trying to act like she's the apex predator in the whole thing. She was terrible. When no, she's been kept around mostly because she was dumb enough to go on a show where you get very little food, and she couldn't even eat the little food that everybody assumed that she would starve to death by the end.
Right.
She sticks around. Ben sticks around because he's perceived as such a non-threat.
Yeah.
And that they make it to the Final Four. It's very frustrating. Yes, they reward weakness as much as they reward strength.
Yeah. I won't. Charlie played a good game. I probably won't watch it unless he gets invited back. Apparently, Survivor 50. They're on 46 now. Survivor 50 is one of those ones where they invite back people that came close or were very popular. Yeah. So there's talk that he might get invited back for that, I guess. I don't know.
I'm thinking about training for it. I'm thinking about training for Survivor.
Really?
So Maria, who was down to the final 5, she was 47 years old.
That's right.
They've had a couple contestants who are older than 50. I read an article where the producers said that they would love it if more people over 50 joined up, but a lot of them just don't think that they're capable of doing it or whatever, so they don't. But you watch it and you look at like, okay, as much as there are physical challenges, the game is set up in such a way that it's not physical prowess that you look at the final people there.
Yeah.
Charlie was the only one who was really good at challenges, the physical challenges by the time you get to the end. But even the physical challenge, Maria was the best.
Yeah.
And she's a 47-year-old woman.
Yep. Yep.
So I feel like I could get physically fit enough to do it. The thing I worry about, and this is a deal breaker to an extreme degree.
Yes.
The hangry element.
Oh, my God.
It's important to be likable. And I'm generally pretty likable.
You are.
Unless it's been 4 hours past my last meal. Dude. At that point, even I can be likable and affable until stressed or tested, and then it's a whole different scenario. I don't think that's the big obstacle. I'd have to train for a couple years of So buckle up, Sean, because there might be a few shows coming up where I'll be on like the 4th day of a fast. Yeah, dude. And I just finished my interval training before the show.
I wanted this 45 seconds ago, but you brought up the hungry part. I don't know, man. Like I tell you what, if you do make that show though, if you were to make it on the show and not have and even just the hunger that you may have trained for, it's beyond that. The implosion that you have would be legendary, I think.
Go die, everybody. Yeah. Honestly, though, it's not that the hanger isn't that bad. It's hanger combined with alcohol consumption anytime in the previous 48 hours, which I'm not. I'm only going to be able to smuggle so many travel bottles of booze up my rectum onto that island. Yeah. Yes. So I think that for the most part, if I can make it through the first few days after I exhaust my booze supply, then either that or I'll go full mash and I'll figure out a way. Everybody else will be out searching for idols and scavenging for food. Yeah. I'll be figuring out a way to build a distillery in the tent. That'll be my.
That's beautiful. That would be good on the resume at the end. I would give points for that.